Okay guys, for this measurement I have to have my style line, like where my style is to start. Then I'll check the largest part of my measurement, divide it by 4. That will be my demarcation between the front and the back. I'll go ahead and mark it out into 2. I've marked it out. Okay, this is my style line here, this is my hemline, and this is my measurement I will be using for this drafting. Okay, so now this is the difference between my front and back. All right, I'll go ahead and measure out my shoulder line, shoulder length, which is 16 divided by 2. Then the neck width and neck height 3 by 3, 3 inches by 3 inches, which is the standard. I'll use my curve to mark that out. Next thing I'm going to do is to make my shoulder slope, which is 1.5 inches. I'll connect that line to the neck point. Okay, now the next thing I'll be doing again is to draft out my armhole, which is bust divided by 6 plus 2.5 inches. All right, once I get that, I'll draft it out and mark.
Memories linger, constant ache, heart pieces can't retain. Time will heal, scars will stay.
Once I'm done drafting that, I will now go ahead and determine my armhole curve, which is go back up by 3 inches and go in by 0.75. Okay, so that there won't be so much tightness around the armhole. All right, once I've detected that, then my bust divided by 4, so that I'll know where the arm curve will stop. Once I've noted that, I'll go ahead and use my armhole curve to join the lines together. You have to adjust this armhole curve in order to get an accurate measurement. Now go ahead and mark my bust point. Okay, my bust point, that is my shoulder to navel. That's what I'm using as my bust point. Then my under bust line, I'll mark that as well. After marking that, I will as well go ahead and mark my waistline. Once all these lines are marked out, I will use my marker to make it visible.
Words spoken, torn apart, shattered pieces, broken hearts. Love blooms now, wither away, leave nothing for display.
I'll go ahead and label my line so that I don't get confused. Once I label the bust line, the under bust, the waistline, and the extreme one is the M line. Okay, then the next thing I'll do is to mark out my dart line, which is 4 inches. I'll mark it all through to the M line, guys.
Memories linger, constant ache, heart pieces can't.
I'll go ahead and note my chest line, like extending it towards the center front. Okay, extending it is very important. You can use pencil to extend and note it. Later you can join them together. My chest line. All right, next thing I'm going to do is to note where my bust height stops. Your bust height is, if you measure from your under bust up to your cleavage, wherever you want it to stop. If you want it to be open, it's totally your choice. It's totally up to you guys. So you have to measure it and note where it should be. Now for my shoulder dart, I will extend the shoulder dart to my bust point. I'll make the chest line visible. Then I'll connect my that leg, my shoulder that leg up to the bust point. But before I do that, I will extend my normal that leg to the chest line. Okay, so once I've done that, normally people that normally use this shoulder dart to the chest line is if you are making an off shoulder, you have to do a bust tightening so that your dress doesn't gape around the cleavages. It has to hug you very well and be fitted to the cleavage. All right, so once I've done this, I'll go ahead and mark my bust measurement, then my waist measurement as well. I'll first of all mark out my dart, which is half inches on both sides. Once I've done that, from my hemline I'll come up by 3 inches and connect the dart legs together. Now once I've taken my dart, as you can see, I only use pencil to do that because after my underbust tightening, I will now use marker to draw it permanently. I noted my waistline and added the 1 inch of that to it. Then I'll use my armhole curve to connect all of them together. Mind you, I did not measure my underbust. Okay, now when I'm through with this marking, I will now go ahead and note my underbust, which is 8.5. That 8.5, I go ahead and mark it and know the remaining, what is remaining there. It is what is remaining that I'll use to do my underbust tightening. Now whatever is remaining, you divide it by 2 and deduct it from both sides. There are some people that will do 1 inches here, 2 inches the other side. It doesn't work for me. Okay, and once I've divided it into 2 and noted where it is, I have to use my curve. Note how I'm placing this on this armhole curve. Okay, and I didn't draw it all through to the bust point. The time I did it, it gave me this pointy edge, pointy form or pointy shape towards my nipple, so I didn't do it again. So I draw it at least 1 inches that from the bust point. Now for your chest contour, you have to take that same half inch you took on your whatever you took on your underbust, you have to do it over bust. Okay, that is what I did, and I connected it. Everything still goes down to the bust point. It still goes down to the bust point. How do I know my bust point? You have to check from your shoulder to where your nipple point is. That's how you get your bust line, guys. Now after that, I use my marker to make all of them visible, and I think that will be all for my front measurements. Okay, now I'll go ahead and mark out my difference between the front waistline and the back waistline, which is 2 inches. I'll mark it out. I forgot to do that before. Thank God I remembered it. I'll mark that out, and I think that's all. Now we'll be going to the back measurement. First, I'll draft my neck width and neck height, which is 1 inches depth and 3 inches wide. My shoulder line, which is 8 inches, and shoulder slope will be 1 inch, guys. Now my shoulder to where my chest line is, I'll mark that out. Once I've marked it out and connected that, I'll go ahead and note my shoulder slope. Okay, that's my shoulder line, 8 inches. I'll mark that down. Then the next thing I'll do is to note my shoulder slope, which is 1 inches for the back. 1 inches for the back. I'll connect that together. Then I'll go ahead as well and connect my neck line together, just as so. Okay, next thing I'll do is to determine my armhole. which is the line I have already divided by 2 and go in by half inches. Then after going in by half inches, I will determine my chest bust line divided by 4. I'll mark that down. The next thing I'll do is connect that chest line to the front chest line. Use my armhole curve to connect the whole dots together. That's all for my armhole. Now after that, the next thing I'll do is determine my shoulder to bust, shoulder to waist, and the extreme one is my hemline, guys. For some, they don't do the shoulder to bust for the back. The only line I don't acknowledge at the back is shoulder to under bust, because there is no need for that at the back. Now once I've done all that, I'll connect the lines together with my ruler. Now I'm done marking that with my permanent marker. The next thing I'll do is I'll label all the lines in order not to get confused. Now I'll take 0.75 inch from the center back of my waistline. This is to avoid zip bulge, so that whenever you make a dress, it doesn't poke at the back. Okay, you connect that to the hemline, and from the neckline as well, connect it together. I'll go ahead and mark that line. Mind you, at that waistline of the back, I started from the straight line, not where I did my slant. Okay, if you start from where you did your slant, then the line will not be straight. Okay, then for my dart, I took half inch on both sides. I'll go ahead and connect them together.
Memories linger, constant ache, heart pieces can't retain. Time will heal, scars will stay.
Next thing I'll do is that I will try and do a straight slant for the back. Some do shoulder slant, while some do princess dart slant, but it won't be curvy because you don't have bust at the back. Okay, don't make it so curvy, so that when you do it, it doesn't poke as well. You make it so straight that it will relax after sewing it. All right, make it as straight as possible. Okay, once you have done that, so far this is what we have for the back. Then I'll turn this now, and then I'll go ahead and mark out my horizontal measurements. All right, now divide my bust by 4. I'll mark it out. Divide my waist by 4. I'll mark it out as well. If you notice, you see where I started. Then for the dart line, I return whatever I took for the dart, which is 1 inch. I'll return it back to the waistline. Use my armhole curve to connect the lines together. Okay, whatever I took from this overbust dart, I'm going to return it to the armhole. This method is if you are using a rigid fabric like Ankara or other hard fabric, but if you are using fabric like chantilly lace, normal net, two net is hard, some are hard. Whatever fabric that you are using that is very stretchy, avoid adding it, because the stretch alone will cover for all these ones. If not, if it's a rigid fabric, you have to do it this way. Add it and go ahead with your drafting. For now, I think this is the end of this drafting session, because I have to fold this and keep. Whenever I want to make any dress, I have to bring this out, trace it in a new pattern paper, then I'll now alterate it and use it for anything I want to make that is not corset. I think this is for any fabric, anything you want to make at all that is not corset. this serves for every of it. Okay, it's only finishing touches that is remaining in this. Aside that, I'm done with my drafting, guys. Going forward, this is what I'll be using for my tutorials.
Say